Hello, everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 13th of February 2023. It's Gary here again, and I hope you had a wonderful week. And, well, I guess Rangers did what they had to do eventually. More about that in a wee minute or so here. But, yeah, I don't know about you, but and I think we're going to have to get used to this between now and the end of the season. The time when we only have one game a week, or I guess you could say technically two games a week sometimes if it's Saturday to Saturday, but it gets me going a wee bit stir crazy, and I start to, I like the break for a day or so, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's like 5 days till we've got another game to play. This is no use. And then I feel like most of the times in my life, certainly in my work life, maybe more so, but in my life that I've got into the most trouble is when I've had time on my when I've had time on my hands, when I get bored and then I get a wee bit mischievous and a little bit antsy, and then I just try and kind of push people's buttons or do just stupid stuff that doesn't make any sense to anything, and that's what I'm starting to feel like right now. So I guess I'm saying this as some sort of outbound therapy session to calm myself down and say, get used to it, you're gonna be okay. You get some things coming up over the next wee while. You've got a cup final to look forward to. Take it easy and just live a normal life. So maybe that's why I'm saying it. But short story is I don't like it. I prefer the 2 games a week. It gets all the troops back together, concentrating on one thing at the one time, and it just gives us a chance to see Rangers as well, which is the most important thing. Anywho, this past week we did get a wee bit of good news about John Lundstrom, and you might remember if you listened last week that I was a wee bit worried about that, and thankfully the news isn't as bad. And they were saying, Michael Beale had said actually on the weekend there that he was probably in contention for this weekend's game against Livingston, but with it being a plastic pitch, I don't know, maybe not. But he was definitive about saying he will be ready for the cup final. I mean, I would imagine he would want to get some competitive minutes in before the cup final, but he's a seasoned professional, so maybe just going straight into the cup final squad wouldn't be the worst thing. But I don't know, momentum for me would make it a wee bit easier or better that he would be having some competitive minutes to make sure that the injury isn't actually going to reoccur under game conditions. But anyway, that was good news. A wee bit of kind of disappointing news when we looked at the team sheet for Saturday's game against Partick Thistle. Sorry, Sunday's game against Partick Thistle. I think everybody was expecting to see Alex Lowry there, at least on the bench, but maybe starting as well, and he wasn't even anywhere to be seen. And my understanding is that he received some, or was inflicted with some sort of injury during training, maybe the last training session. I'm not exactly sure when it was, so please don't quote me on this. But he ended up having to leave the training centre in a one of those aircasts that I was talking about John Lundstrom wearing last week there. So that's not good news for him, and very, very unfortunate timing, because that was an opportunity for him to play against people that he would be able to shine against, you would think, and from a lower division standard, and get an opportunity to get some minutes in as well. So hopefully nothing serious for Alex Lowry as well, because I think it was quite telling that when he didn't go anywhere on loan during the transfer window, that Michael Beale has said you can go to these clubs on loan or you're going nowhere because you're very much a part of our plans. Something like that anyway. So anywho, we'll get on to the game segment for this last week, and as I mentioned, only the one game this past week, and oh my, what an event. What an event it turned out to be over the course of the 90 minutes, but more so in the second half. So starting with the basics, I mean, we had a genuine Glasgow derby against one of our rivals from Glasgow, and that was Partick Thistle. It was at Ibrox, a team from a lower division who are below the playoff spots, so not having a fantastic season, which is the reason that they sacked their whole management team straight after the game at Ibrox yesterday. And we're expecting a comfortable afternoon, a chance for the new players to bed in and really just kind of entertain, wow the crowd a wee bit, and go from there. Looking at the lineup that Michael Beale put together, it was a very strong team. I thought he would have rested more people, but nope, he went with a strong team. And then we kind of limped out 3-2 winners, which was bizarre in terms of how the game unfolded. So the 3 goals from us were from Mr. returning from injury, Tony Goals himself, which was great to see him on the goal trail as he comes back. Still a bit of a not a huge influence on the game, I didn't think. And the second goal, which I'll get to in a second here. I don't know that we'll talk about a single goal for the entire rest of the season as much as we might talk about this one for Malik Tillman, just over the 70-minute mark or so. And then I thought it was an OG. I thought the winner was an OG, and on Rangers TV yesterday they gave it as an OG, and then today when I was just doing a wee bit of final write-ups in my notes for the pod, I see that they gave it to James Sands. And that was about 4 minutes from time, which ended up being about 11 minutes from time because he did about 7 minutes of injury time. But good to see James Sands. I thought he had quite a competent game. Hammy, if you're listening to this game, I'm very sorry. I know he's your one to hate, but he's a Rangers player, and I will back every single Rangers player. And I think he played well. It was good to see him back as well. So yeah, 3 goals at home. You're expecting it to be a comfortable afternoon. It was anything but. I thought it was just bizarre. I thought actually the whole game was bizarre. The first half was absolute garbage, quite honestly. And we lose. I mean, they had a couple of great chances where McGregor made 2 or 3 saves rapid, and good saves at that, not just saves you're expecting him to make. And we're not quite waking up or learning a lesson. And then there's a nothing ball comes in the box, it gets cleared away, and then I don't know how Tom Miller on Rangers TV commentary gets wind of that, or if there's something specific he sees on the screen there where it says possible check, or something goes through it's not through the tannoy, I don't mean that, but something, gets indicated down at the touchline or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, they go back to VAR. You start to see it. I couldn't see it. Honestly, I could not see it. I'm looking and I'm like, it hit his thigh, and in another angle you're like, are they trying to say it hit his hand before it hit his thigh? I'm not sure. And then of course the ref goes over and takes a look at it, and then looks, and you don't see it. You truly don't. And I'll get to the referee watch in a wee bit here, but you're supposed to give it if it's inconclusive. Conclusive. If it's conclusive, and it wasn't. There's no way. I mean, unless you're watching this through your emerald green tinted glasses, there's no way that was conclusive, so therefore you shouldn't give it. But no, he goes and gives it, and the boy puts the penalty away. A good penalty, he scored. Then we're 1-0 down, 1-0 down at half time. And as I say, if it wasn't for McGregor, that could have been a 3-0 game at half time. Michael Beale makes some changes at half time, which weren't really unexpected. And I honestly didn't think there was a whole hell of a lot wrong with the second half, other than, what do you call it? The most, but is it Tillman gate, goal gate, throw-in gate, something like that. But just a bizarre incident. So Malik Tillman, and this is with the benefit of hindsight, of watching it back again, hearing the post-match interviews, getting a chance to see what people on both sides of the fence think about it, and then thinking, right, okay, I've made up my own mind about it. In the moment, very, very upsetting. I didn't agree with how it all unfolded, but with the benefit of hindsight, I see what happens. Malik Tillman goes down, and this guy, his feet just go everywhere. So he goes down in a challenge, sticks out his leg, gets the ball away. The boy inadvertently stands on his ankle, so he's down injured. So the ball comes over to us. He doesn't see any of that because he's writhing in pain, of course, on the pitch. So then I think it was Tav that put it out, and then he gets some treatment. You're kind of worried about him. It turns out that he's okay. He gets an opportunity to play on. There's obviously no dialogue at all from either bench or from the players that's standing exactly in his purview. The boy takes the throw in, throws it to their guy. They're intending to kick it back to us. Tillman doesn't know anything. He doesn't know any of this. So he's like, I'm going to take that. And he takes it. And I think the big thing, there's 2 things for me that kind of worked against him, if you could say against him, or maybe in his favour, it depends what way you look at it, is that so the first thing, let me just mention, the first thing is the Rangers fans, we get all excited when he starts to do what he's doing, because we just kind of didn't expect it, and it just became a bit of a moment of excitement for us, or a passage of excitement for us. So that kind of generated that. But the second and the most important thing for me is that every single Partick Thistle player that had an opportunity to try and tackle him to get the ball did so. So to Tillman, he has no clue. This is just a normal bit of play. He's driving in. These guys are flying in. Now, if it had been in the opposite way, where the fans are kind of quiet and one of the players says, "What are you doing? We're just going to kick it back to you." And then the benchies give him a whistle, and then not one player challenges him. They're standing, and then he would be like, "Wait a minute, something's wrong here." We would kind of get a bit antsy as a fan base, kind of maybe do some booing or bawling and shouting or whatever it was, but it wouldn't have been the generation of excitement. And the goal was brilliant. Admittedly, I jumped up and down when the goal went, and I thought it was brilliant, a brilliant goal. And then they start shoving and pushing him, and you can see the look of absolute bewilderment on his face, where he's like, "What's happening here? I just scored a brilliant goal. I should be away celebrating, and I'm getting manhandled." Then there's a big melee, and then for whatever reason, Barisic gets booked through that melee. I didn't see him do anything wrong. And then there's this confusion. We don't get to hear any of the dialogue between the referee and the benches between each other or anything like that. And then a few minutes later, they let the guy run up. And McGregor did make him work for his goal, didn't he? But they let him go up. And I was in a rage at that point, quite honestly, because I don't have any context about, within the cold light of day or understanding actually what the run of play actually looked like. So I'm in a rage. It's 2-2. And then you're going, wait a minute, man, if we lose this, as a result of that, Michael Beale's got some serious questions to answer. So we give him it back, and that's fine. But as I say, in terms of the actual literal stuff that happened, Partick didn't do themselves any favours by challenge, and then going wild at the fact. I mean, if that's me and I'm playing, and I'm done at playing football, but I would know the rules to say, where are you going, man? Stop, bring it back. We're going to give it back to you, and just retake the throw again, and then just give it back to us. Didn't work out like that. That's what happens. The confusion didn't lead, and I was going to say miscommunication. I don't mean miscommunication, lack of communication, because there's just no opportunity to be able to have the manager communicate with the fans during that passage of play. And then for him to explain it after the fact, and I didn't want that hanging over Malik Tillman. He's never cheated anyone in his life, and I didn't want that to be the talking point of the game. I didn't want that to be the reason we went through. It just adds more and more class to him as a manager, to his understanding of what we stand for as a club as well. And then I become, from that enraged fan and saying a few choice words to the TV that I won't repeat on this family show, to really just being very proud and understanding these guys. I guess maybe the big lesson for me is trust the manager. He knows what he's doing. He's doing things for the right reason, whether it be from a footballing perspective, whether it be from a standards perspective, whether it be from a team development or a player development perspective. He has the reins, and he's doing the best he can of what he thinks is right. And as it turns out, it was right as well. So yeah, it was interesting. Anyway, so yeah, that's just my take on it, and it's probably nothing that you haven't read or heard today, but I just wanted to kind of highlight the things that were actually in play and not the stuff that I just made up in my head in the game time, And then we finally get the winner. As I mentioned, I didn't think it was Sands that got the final touch, but it's very difficult to see, and I thought it was the own goal, but we'll take it, and that gives us exactly what we need. So the positives, were into the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup for the second year in a row, which is great. It might actually be more than that, but I'm just thinking about our win for last year, so no need to correct me on that if it's more than 2 years in a row. And I thought the second half display, as I mentioned earlier, was excellent. Malik Tillman was brilliant for the whole game. I had worries, and I think maybe I'd mentioned this, I hope I did on previous pods towards the beginning of the season, where the boy just ran out of gas in games, and I get that he's young, and I get that there's inconsistencies, and it's a different atmosphere and different style of football and things like that, but he was getting gassed, around about the 60, 65, 70 minute mark in all the games. He doesn't seem to be doing that now, and he still has the same level of energy at the end of the game as he does at the beginning. So I thought it was a masterclass, and I know it's against lower level opposition, but I think that's probably one of, if not his best game for us, quite honestly. And Nicholas Raskin, his overall play and real contribution as well, he's getting it. You can tell there's a player there as well. I thought it was really good, a really competent second half. We had 8 shots to Thistle's 4, so that's 50% more, or 100% more, I guess, than they did. And we had 63% of the possession as well, so pretty good. And the atmosphere I thought was great as well. We don't get to see or feel a lot of it through Rangers TV a lot, just because of the way that they control the volume. But you can tell the atmosphere was great, because we're kind of shell-shocked going into half-time, 1-0 down to opposition from a lower division, and 1-0 quite deserved, honestly, in terms of the chances created. So, when we realised it wasn't all going to be our way, the fans really contributed to a cracking atmosphere and you could tell that even coming through the RTV feed as well. And just another wee aside from a Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary perspective, we had 20 people there yesterday. 20 people. I mean, I go there for some games against, say, for example, Hearts or Aberdeen or whatever, and I think we're going to get a big crowd, and then there's 6 of us. And I'm like, right, okay, how does that work? And then we have Partick Thistle at 9 a.m. on a Sunday, a kind of nothing game, and we have 20 folks there, albeit 6 kids as well, because we're in this pin bar. There's a whole bunch of pinball machines, and the kids have a great time doing that kind of thing. So it was fantastic. But we also had another little gift in terms of a positive from yesterday, where we had none other than former Rangers first team player Mr. Fraser Aird himself also visited. If you don't know, Fraser is playing for the Calgary Cavalry, the I don't know what they're called, the Canadian Premier League team. Forgive me, I don't know the exact name of the division, but he's actually injured right now, recovering from some serious knee surgery and injury that he had last season, but he's hoping to be fit for the beginning of the new season. Pre-season has just started here in the Canadian Premier League, and it's all inside for right now because outdoors is still covered in snow, and he's looking forward to the beginning of April and trying to get back playing as well. So great to see him, and he's always welcome at the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary. He's a good lad, is Fraser, so great to see him. Negatives from the game. The first half display, as I said, was just awful. It's just junk, garbage, or as Leo would say, dog water. And I'm not sure if that's the water they drink or the water that they bathe in or whatever. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, it's not good. And on this occasion, I've credited the team, especially since Michael Beale came back, of not playing down to the opposition, and I feel that we did that, especially in the first half. Yesterday, where I think we thought we were ready for a show, and we were ready for a stroll in the park, and when it came to pass that wasn't the case, we didn't really seem to know how to get ourselves out of that and react properly. And another negative I would say would be the reaction of the Thistle players when Tillman scored. They contributed to that by putting in challenge after challenge after challenge, instead of just standing there saying, get a grip, numbnuts, get the ball back, we're going to give you it back. And then it may have been a bit confusing for a minute or two, but it would have been very obvious that that's what they're doing. But you can't play the game in terms of tackles flying in right, left and centre, and then get all indignant after it doesn't work out the way that you wanted it to work out. They should have been more professional than that. That was disappointing. I didn't appreciate that. On the referee watch, the referee David Monroe, I think he had a very tough afternoon. The VAR stuff, I thought he made a mistake there. I thought it was a mess. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're not sure, you don't give it. End of story. That is it. I do sympathise with him a wee bit in terms of he was in a bit of a tough spot for the Tillman part, because the Lewis McLeod and Tom Miller had said on Rangers TV there's no actual rule about that. That's like the gentleman's agreement or just the kind of rules of fair play, that sort of thing. But there's no rule that was broken by Tillman doing that. So then he's kind of like, what do we do? I don't know if he brokered any of the conversations between the benches, but he certainly allowed the conversations to take place, gave the benches enough space. They came up with what the tact was going to be, and then they moved on from there. So fair play to him for that. If I was going to rate him yesterday, I actually said to someone yesterday he was getting a 5, and that was me being generous to him. But I'm in a better mood today with the cold light of day, so I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going to be generous, give him a 6. That's what he gets as well. So what does that give us? That gives us a quarter-final tie, and I have to say the draw was very, very favourable for us. There was a couple of ties. I mean, you're always looking for a home tie when it gets to the quarter-final stage, because that's the last time you can get a home or away tie. And we drew at home, of course, to Wraith Rovers. So I have no idea how Wraith Rovers are doing this season. They're obviously doing very well to get to the quarter-finals of the Scottish Cup, so fair play to them. But we have now, the picture postcard of what not to do when we're playing against a team from a lower division, and Michael Beale, I'm certain, will be drilling that in to the team before we play those games, and those games are coming up in around about a month, the weekend of March the 11th as well. So yeah, some pretty good ties there, and obviously the main goal is that we get to the final and give ourselves an opportunity to win the cup. So looking forward to that. One game, just a one game this week, as I mentioned in my stir crazy thing a little bit earlier, and that's away to Livingston this Saturday, and that's the 18th of February, and that's a 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. That's 3 p.m. UK. Interesting to have a game away to Livingston and not have it televised live on TV, you know, like one of the stupid early kickoffs, you know, noon UK or 12:30 or 1 p.m. or something like that. I was certain this game was going to be moved, and I paid keen attention to this game because it's on a holiday weekend here, and we've got a bit of a family thing going on, and I'll tell you about that a wee bit when we get to the shout outs. But yeah, it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, and the last time we played them was the 1-1 draw back in late October at Ibrox, and you might remember this game where we actually snatched the point in the 91st minute with a goal from John Lundstrom, and then he almost won it for us. Remember, he missed a header, not like literally seconds after that, and we would have stole the points. Absolutely, you know, Livingston were very well earned or well deserved of the point that they got that day, but obviously they would be disappointed to lose the equaliser and drop a couple of points so close to the end. But I remember us being terrible that day, and it would have been a highway robbery if we never got that. And then we also played them actually in our very first game of the season, the last time we played them, over at the Tony Macaroni Stadium or Arena or whatever they call it to try and make it sound sexier than it actually is. And we won that one 2-1. Again, we went behind in that game from an early goal, and then we won it with 2 quick-fire goals around about the 70-odd minute mark or so from Scotty Arfield and James Tavernier. So it would be kind of nice not to go down against this mob and just actually get some sort of routine victory. Similar to what we did against Hearts last week would be kind of handy, please and thank you, Rangers. And then next week it's the League Cup final, and I'll say a lot more about that when we get to that. For RTV, for this last week, not a lot going on. Didn't hear of any issues or anything like that, so just status quo on the RTV front. For shout-outs for this week, I didn't mention last week, I just wanted to say like a heartfelt shout-out to the victims and families and friends of victims from the recent earthquake events that have really blighted Turkey and Syria. I mean, the last I heard, and this was on the weekend, it was something like 12,000 or something like that. It was a very, very high number of confirmed deaths, and still, you know, picking through the wreckage that's there as well. So just absolutely awful times. So sincere condolences to everyone involved from NARSA for that. On a lighter note, I did want to wish my brother-in-law Martin McLister a very happy 65th birthday this past Saturday. And he went out with his family, him and Linda, my sister, and the family, and I actually can't remember where they went, but we got him my sister Debbie organised a bottle of Prosecco or bubbly of some description to be delivered to the table, and he quickly tanned that as well. And Marty's a great guy, not so much of a Rangers fan himself, but let his 2 boys, Stephen and Paul, grow up to be very staunch Rangers fans as well. And yeah, he's a great guy. He looked after my dad a lot. He was part of the trio of him and Linda and my sister Caroline, who looked after my dad a lot in his final years of his life, and did a lot for him. And they had a great time together. Very, very good friends. So I know he took it really badly when my dad passed. So happy birthday, Marty. He will never ever hear this because he doesn't listen to it. So but it's just nice to see it anyway, and thank him for all his help. And second and almost final shout out for this week is it's Debbie's birthday week. My sister Debbie is 50. Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to say the number. It's my sister Debbie's significant birthday. Celebrating a decade on after her 40th birthday this Friday, the 17th of February, which was also incidentally my mum and dad's wedding anniversary, and that's another story for another day. But yeah, Debbie turns whatever age it is on Friday, and we're actually having a party at our old venue, the Palomino Smokehouse in downtown Calgary. There's going to be some karaoke, of course there is when Debbie's involved, and some UK treats and snacks that are going to be delivered when Diane Carey comes over for a bit of a visit as well. So going to have a great time. And actually we went out for dinner a couple of weeks back to celebrate Andy, or maybe it was last week, no, 2 weeks ago, to celebrate Andy's birthday, her husband and social media guru, and my love Erin's birthdays as well. So, and that was the first time that Debbie had a drink after she tried to destroy my driveway when leaving at New Year. And this will be the first time we've actually kind of boozed since then. Her rehab is going well. My understanding is she did some physio today for the first time. She's back at work today for the first time. My driveway is is okay. Thanks to everybody for your concern on that one as well. And Debbie, well, she'll heal up at some point anyway. But happy birthday, Debbie. I will mention your birthday on next week's pod as well, I am sure. But really looking forward to Friday and seeing a whole bunch of family and friends there as well. And the last one, wee bit selfish, this last one. I mentioned last year that I was training to become a coach, a career and life coach is where I'm concentrating my efforts on. This week I'm doing the big reveal. I'm launching my website this week. I'm going to do it this coming Wednesday. Once we get one final tweak to the website, and I'm going to put it out there on LinkedIn. I'll maybe even share it on the NARSA WhatsApp group just for a bit of fun. And I'm going to be publishing content there. I'm actually going to do a podcast over there as well, just once a month though, and get going and see if it's actually a thing that I can make money from, or if it's just a thing that I get to do as a bit of a hobby. Either is okay for me because I absolutely love it. But this is the next part in the journey for that. So stay tuned on that. You'll be shocked when you see the name of the website. I've come up with a brilliant, very original name, and I'll tell you a wee bit more about that after Wednesday's reveal as well. Convention update, I can officially confirm it's 121 days and 17 weeks from today until Toronto Midtown get us going with the biggest Blue Nose Bash of the overseas calendar, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. As I said last week, it's going to be in the double digits here very shortly, folks. We're 3 weeks away from it. And the hotel rooms and tickets are, and event tickets, are still on sale. And I have a real feeling that, when we get some silverware flashed in our faces in 13 days' time by Michael Beale and James Tavernier, that we're going to see a bit of an activity in terms of more rooms being sold. As I mentioned last week, we're around about the 70% of the rooms sold mark, which is great. And then we'll move on with the event tickets, which have been a wee bit slower than anticipated at this point. But just another reminder that we have the one-stop package, which I guess by the time you listen to this, the competition to book for the one-stop package and the signed home shirt for this season will have passed. But Rosie and her team are doing that. You can get your flight, you can get your accommodations, your transfers in Toronto, and of course your event tickets as well. If you go to @theconvention.com, and please don't procrastinate on that, because they are going to start to make some inroads into ensuring that they don't get culpable for flights and stuff like that over the next wee while. So they'll be making some changes to that. So if you're procrastinating or deciding, please do so by the end of the month, or you might end up not getting exactly what you need. In terms of VIP guests, I kind of keep saying this over the last wee while, but we are working on other guests. Made contact with a couple of genuine legends over the last wee while, and I have one genuine legend in waiting right now, just trying to see if we can get a bit of a commitment there. There's a wee bit of a family thing going on right now that has to be the most important thing that's going on, and definitely will be respected. But I suspect we have one more that I'm ready to communicate right now, but I'd like to try and do them all kind of rapid fire, and maybe give you a real bumper edition next week. So that's the plan. If not, I definitely have one to announce for next week, and I'll do that with a wee bit more aplomb than I'm doing right now. And lastly, on the convention, the Toronto Midtown folks have organised a fundraiser for the Pride of the Rock flute band, which is the flute band of choice for this year. And that is going to be, it's called Dinner with David, an acoustic tribute to David Bowie. And that's going to be on Sunday, March the 12th. And that's, I guess what's that now? 4 weeks yesterday, probably 4 weeks yesterday, and that's going to be held at Toronto Number 1's venue, which is in Ellesmere Road, Unit 7 up in Scarborough in Ontario. So hopefully a lot of the clubs over there will be able to rally and go over and do a bit of fundraising with the folks over there. The tickets are $20 Canadian and include a Scotch pie and beans, and it starts at 2 o'clock, and there's going to be a bunch of raffle stuff and all that. And in terms of fundraising, we will put a note out there to all the NARSA clubs as well. If you can rally and maybe get some money for the flute band. We typically do this every convention year, and just collect the monies, and it goes straight to the band as well. There is increased travel costs for this year. Everyone's hurting a wee bit, and there's a bit of a pinch. So anything you could do to help for the band, that would be very, very much appreciated. And I'll just tell you a wee funny. It was supposed to be Sunday, March the 19th. Everything was all organised. The poster was booked. Andy Burnett talked about it just from a cursory level at the recent general meeting, and then realised he made a gigantic rip-roaring arse of it and realised that he was out of the country on the 19th, so he had to scramble a wee bit and move it to the 12th. So I hope that either way works for everybody that was planning to attend in any case. So I love it when other people make the mistakes and it's not me. In terms of other business, I did mention briefly there the general meeting, and what I'm going to do next week is just kind of gather the notes up. We don't have the minutes, but I'll pester Sandra for the minutes, and if we don't get the minutes, I'll recollect my thoughts of what was discussed and agreed, and provide a wee bit of commentary about that. Hopefully next week, and if not next week, definitely the week after. I'll keep it on my notes of things, of a list of things to do as well. On the communications section for this past week, I did notice, I can't actually remember where I seen it, it's probably online somewhere, but that ORSA have announced their convention announcement for 2023 as well, and it's going to be in Bangkok, and that's from July the 5th to the 9th, so it's actually it's probably just a couple of weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks after our convention is done. So if there are any absolute staunch, stalwart bears out there that like to try and do both, that's going to be a hell of a lot of travelling for you, especially if you come from a country that's not Canada. And if you do so, then please get in touch. I'd love to hear from you and maybe get a wee story out of you on there. But the tickets are on sale now, and as I say, it's in Bangkok, and it's on July the 5th to the 9th as well. So that's looking kind of good. I know it's really immature, but I just kind of laugh every time I hear Bangkok, the name. I don't know who named it, but they must have been on something at the time. Anyway, enough of this juvenile delinquency. The New Edmiston House, they also organised an invite for NARSA for the opening gala dinner that is taking place on Sunday the 19th of February. That's this coming Sunday, and it's I guess, what do you get? It's a champagne reception at 6:30, and there's going to be it's a gala dinner, which will be a celebration of the state-of-the-art venue that they've got going on. The dress code is a lounge suit as well. So what we did yesterday, I think it was, or maybe it was on Saturday, I can't remember, but I'd said to the NARSA WhatsApp group, do we have any bears from NARSA members who are back home this weekend that could take advantage of this invite? I'd love it to be a NARSA member. We have lots of NARSA friends, of course, back home as well, and we can gift it over there. I do have someone in mind if it comes to pass that we don't get any NARSA membership, but I'll do a shout out just now. If you are a NARSA member, you are home this weekend, and you're a genuine paid up member of your club, please let me know, and I'll get this invite passed over, and then you can get to go and enjoy yourself. And I'm sure there's going to be some guests, some VIP guests, and some real pomp to the event as well. So very kind of Rangers to invite us, and really looking forward to seeing if we can get someone over there. There was also an announcement by 5 Stars. I think the announcement actually just came out yesterday, and they are organising an anniversary dinner of our 50th league title, and which was also a treble winning season as well, and that's going to go ahead. Let me just grab the notes so I don't make a mess of this one. It's going ahead on... Don't tell me it doesn't say it on my notes here. Oh, Friday the 5th of May. My apologies, I didn't scroll down long enough. It's on Friday the 5th of May 2023, and there are going to be members of that treble winning squad is there. We're going to have the manager, Alex McLeish, very good close personal friend of mine. Barry Ferguson, the captain of that famous side. Barry Ferguson, good close personal friend of mine. Claudio Caniggia, Shota Arvelazzi, Peter Lovenkrands, Craig Moore, good close personal friend of mine, and Neil McCann. I hope the dust settles by the time that event comes around, based on his comments about our very own Alfie last week, and Ronald de Boer, and there's probably going to be Arthur Newman, Michael Moles, and other guests there as well. The 5 Stars guys put on tremendous events, and I'm very delighted to tell you that they have agreed to give us a couple of tickets as a competition giveaway as well. So we'll get organised on that. I promise I won't leave it as late as we did for the managers dinner. I kind of botched that one earlier this year, but we'll do that. We'll get that organised. We'll do an online competition through our social media channels and see if we can get some NARSA bears over there in the early part of May. It'll just be tickets for the dinner. There won't be flights and accommodation and all that sort of thing organised. And yeah, they also announced the tickets going on sale for both St Phoenix on the 31st of March and Callum Beattie on the 7th of April. My understanding is the St Phoenix tickets went on sale today, and I believe the general sale is going to be on Wednesday. Today was a pre-sale, and I think Callum Beattie's is a wee bit further down the line as well. So two staunch bands, or St Phoenix being a band and Callum being a solo artist, and it's great to see that the club gets now to support these artists and provide them an opportunity to go and entertain the fans as well. And my understanding also is that there's maybe going to be an announcement shortly about a Heart and Hand live show there as well. If anybody's seen the Heart and Hand live shows that we've done, we did one in Calgary in 2018, and then we did another one there back in Las Vegas, and brilliant to be a part of, I say selfishly, but also must be really good entertainment as well for the folks standing. It's such a unique thing to do, just have some guys sitting there bantering about Rangers, so good fun on that one as well. And speaking of Heart and Hand, I'm actually, if you're a subscriber to Heart and Hand, I'm going to be on the daily update this coming Wednesday. And that's Wednesday the 15th of February, and just doing a wee bit of a kind of post-Toronto visit, get things ready, prepped and organised, rally the troops sort of theme. So we'll see what happens in Rangers land between now and then, and I'll go on there and have a chat with David, and if you get a chance to listen to it, great. If you don't, that's okay as well. A couple of final things on the communication front. I know this is a wee bit of a longer show this week, but you can blame Malik Tillman and Partick Thistle for that. You might have seen today, I think it was announced today, that the Rangers Youth Development Company has donated even more monies to the youth programme at Rangers, and that takes the total to over £10 million in the last 21 years that they have been going. That's just utterly incredible. I urge you, I'll put a link to the article in the blog for tonight, and I urge you to go and read it. I'm going to read a wee tiny part of it as a snippet for you, but just utterly unbelievable. The Rangers Youth Development Company is delighted to donate another £400,000 to the Rangers Academy, taking the overall contribution to our youth programme to more than £10 million since 2002. Profits generated from Rangers Lotto, the Union Jackpot half-time draw, love the name, stadium bricks and scratch cards all help to support our academy on a daily basis, and that significant financial support has assisted in the development of a number of first team players throughout the years. Nathan Patterson, Robbie McCrory, Leon King, Alex Lowry, Adam Devine and Charlie McCann are among the recent Academy graduates to benefit directly from the RYDC funding, and Academy head coach Craig Mulholland and his staff are extremely grateful for our annual assistance. And by the way, NARSA has also played a contributory part to this incredible figure as well. For those that were in Las Vegas back in June last year, you'll have been part of the auction that we had to auction off some stuff for the Youth Development Company. And we also have, if you remember, there were a couple of pop-ups of I think it was of Peter McCloy and in fact I think it was three. There was one of Peter McCloy, one of Colin Steen and one of Willie Johnston, and we had the guys when they were there sign it, and we have them in our possession. Brian Campbell has them in his garage or his lockup, and we're going to auction them off or raffle them off at some point for the Youth Development Company. At some point we maybe take them to Toronto so you can actually take it back, or we'll figure out a way to get it posted and packaged to you as well. But we have that in our possession as well, so anything we can do to help out, we absolutely will, and we will continue to do that. That's part of our philanthropic efforts that we really like to try and make sure it's at the forefront of everything we do here at NARSA as well. So a bit more to follow on that. As I say, I'll put the link there, take a read at it. Such a brilliant news story, and it just shows you that we truly are more than a club, and to be able to do that sort of thing is just absolutely fabulous. And the last thing I wanted to share this week was just a thing I noticed on Sky Sports a little bit earlier today. And the article says the Scottish professional, I'm getting tired now. The Scottish Professional Football League continues to top the match attendance per capita table across Europe. New figures show the SPFL had 21.3 attendees per 1,000 people at matches across its top four divisions, and a weekly average support of 117,700 fans. weekly average. That is 65% higher than second place country, the Netherlands, which is 12.9 attendees per 1,000 people. The transfer marked summary has Denmark, summary, it says that, has Denmark in third with 12.2 attendees per 1,000 people, followed by Iceland with 12. And then England and Wales followed that with 11.4. Last season, over 4 million fans turned out to watch matches across the Scottish Premiership, Championship, League One and League Two. I think that's fascinating. I never thought that that's a thing, and I don't ever recall seeing this stat before. Maybe I did. Actually, maybe I even did a segment about it last year on the pod. I don't recall though. But it's kind of interesting to see the passion that our wee country has for our beautiful game. And of course, if it wasn't for us and that mob from the other side of the city, the numbers wouldn't even be a fraction of it. We wouldn't even be talking about this right now, quite frankly. But I think that's kind of cool to see. It's nice to see that we top something in Europe after the dismal run that we had in the Champions League a wee bit earlier this season. Anyway, this is a bumper edition this week, isn't it, folks? That will do it for this week, my friends. As always, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to listen. I really, really do appreciate every second that you spend with us here on the weekly update and for NARSA. So until next week, here's to all of you lovers out there giving your loved ones an extra special squeeze tomorrow on Valentine's Day. And one more victory that we get in the league prior to the League Cup final, and Michael Beale's first trophy as his fantastic start to things as Rangers manager continues. So until next week, take care, my friends. All the very best. Cheerio.